What if everything you thought about your weakness wasn't really your fault? What if you've simply been trained to crave comfort instead of challenge? In today's world, we're constantly surrounded by convenience. The easy route is always available, from food delivery to self-driving cars. It seems like we don't have to struggle for anything anymore. We've been conditioned to want things quickly, effortlessly, and with the least amount of discomfort. And yet, when we find ourselves avoiding hard work or difficult situations, we call it weakness. We blame ourselves for not being able to push through, thinking we just don't have the willpower. But here's the shocking truth. You're not weak. You've just been trained to crave comfort. And that training has shaped how you approach every part of your life, from your health to your relationships to your work. By the end of this video, you'll see how this craving for comfort is actually a product of our modern lifestyle, and why it's not a reflection of your character or strength. More importantly, you'll learn how you can recondition your mind and body to thrive by embracing discomfort rather than running from it. So if you've ever felt like your inability to push through challenges is a sign of weakness, stick around. It's time to rethink what strength really looks like, and it starts with understanding how comfort has been holding you back. It's hard to imagine a time when comfort wasn't so easily accessible. In fact, if you think back just a few generations ago, life was full of physical and mental challenges. There were no cell phones or microwaves to make our lives easier, no instant food deliveries or streaming services to entertain us without lifting a finger. Everything required effort. Survival was dependent on overcoming discomfort, whether it was walking miles to get water, building shelter, or hunting for food. Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of avoiding discomfort. In fact, discomfort was a constant companion, one that they had to face head-on just to survive. Now fast forward to today. Life has changed drastically. Technology has brought unprecedented convenience, and our basic needs are met with minimal effort. You can get groceries delivered to your doorstep, summon a ride with the tap of a button, or even order a meal without ever leaving your couch. The things that used to require effort, patience, and hard work are now made easy. And it's not just limited to physical labor. Mental effort has been minimized too. Information, once hard to come by, is now available with a few clicks. If you're tired or bored, you can immediately find entertainment or distraction at your fingertips. This ease of life might sound like a dream come true, and in many ways it is. We have comfort like no generation before us. But here's the catch. We've been conditioned to desire comfort, and it's changed us in ways we don't even realize. The more accessible comfort becomes, the more we seek it. And perhaps more importantly, the more we avoid discomfort, the less equipped we become to handle challenges when they inevitably arise. The rise of comfort-seeking behavior is not a random shift. It's a product of our modern society. Our environment, culture, and even the economy have evolved in a way that reinforces the idea that avoiding discomfort is the goal. For instance, work has become more sedentary. We're encouraged to sit at desks for hours on end, staring at screens, rather than engaging in physical activity. Meals are prepared and served to us with minimal input on our part. Even socializing has been made easier, with apps and social media allowing us to connect with people without leaving our homes. But as we've embraced this life of ease, something profound has happened. We've unknowingly traded resilience for comfort. A few decades ago, if someone needed a break or felt overwhelmed, they would go for a walk, take a deep breath, or even sleep on it. Now we avoid discomfort by reaching for our phones or turning on the TV, seeking immediate gratification in place of long-term solutions. This constant retreat from discomfort has slowly eroded our ability to handle the challenges that are an inevitable part of life. And it's not just about avoiding hard work or effort. This craving for comfort affects our mental and emotional resilience as well. Think about the last time you faced something difficult, a tough conversation, a challenging project, or a physical task that pushed your limits. What did you do? Did you push through, or did you find a way to avoid it? Many of us have been conditioned to find ways around discomfort, making it harder to confront situations head-on. Instead of tackling challenges directly, we reach for shortcuts. We binge-watch shows to avoid dealing with feelings of anxiety or sadness, scroll through social media to escape stress, or eat comfort food to soothe ourselves when we're feeling low. These coping mechanisms are often labeled as weaknesses, but in reality they are a reflection of a larger issue. We've been taught that discomfort is something to avoid at all costs. But why is this conditioning so powerful? Why do we crave comfort so deeply? The answer lies in how our brains are wired. Human beings are wired for survival, and part of that survival is seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Our ancestors were naturally drawn to behaviors that made their lives easier, such as finding shelter or gathering food quickly. These behaviors ensured that they could survive and thrive. However, in today's world where survival doesn't depend on hunting or gathering, these same instincts have been hijacked by the conveniences of modern life. When we experience discomfort, our brains perceive it as a threat, even if it's not life-threatening. This is why we feel the need to avoid discomfort at all costs. Our brains are wired to prioritize comfort and safety above all else. And this is where the issue lies. Our brains haven't evolved fast enough to adapt to the modern world. We're still reacting to discomfort the same way we would have thousands of years ago, with the same survival instincts that told us to avoid pain. But today, that same wiring leads us to avoid everything uncomfortable, whether that's physical exertion, mental challenges, or emotional growth. This drive for comfort doesn't just affect how we deal with physical discomfort. It also impacts how we handle failure, rejection, and even conflict. Instead of facing these uncomfortable situations, we look for ways to avoid them. We're not just avoiding hard work, we're avoiding any situation that could potentially cause emotional discomfort. But here's the kicker. Avoiding discomfort might seem like an easy fix in the short term, but over time, it has damaging effects. The more we seek comfort and avoid challenge, the less we grow. We stop building the mental, emotional, and physical resilience that's necessary to navigate life's difficulties. As a result, we're left feeling weaker, less capable, and more vulnerable to stress, anxiety, and even depression. The very comforts we crave, like fast food, endless entertainment, and instant gratification, can actually make us feel worse in the long run. The more we embrace comfort, the more we set ourselves up for a life that lacks depth, challenge, and meaning. It's not just about avoiding physical discomfort. It's about avoiding the discomfort that comes with personal growth, emotional resilience, and the fulfillment that comes from overcoming adversity. And that's where the danger lies. We've been trained to seek comfort, and in doing so, we've been conditioned to shy away from the very things that make us strong and capable. This isn't about demonizing comfort. After all, everyone deserves to rest, relax, and enjoy life's pleasures. The issue is the imbalance. We've come to rely on comfort to such an extent that we've forgotten how to face discomfort head-on. But the good news is, this conditioning doesn't have to define us. We can retrain ourselves to embrace discomfort in a way that makes us stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to handle whatever life throws our way. So, the next time you feel like avoiding something uncomfortable, remember, it's not weakness, it's simply the result of a lifetime of training. But the real question is, how much longer will you let that training control you? When we think of comfort, we often imagine it as a fleeting pleasure, a warm bed, a cozy blanket, or perhaps a delicious meal. But comfort isn't just something we feel physically, it's something that impacts us on a deeper neurological level. Our brains are wired to seek comfort because for much of human history, avoiding discomfort was crucial to survival. The feeling of relief after a hard day's work or the pleasure of eating when we're hungry triggers a response in our brain that signals safety. But in today's world, comfort no longer just means physical safety. It's become synonymous with emotional and mental ease too. The brain's role in this is far more complex than simply reacting to external stimuli. Comfort is deeply tied to our neurochemistry, specifically to the release of dopamine. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter, and it plays a major role in our desire for pleasure and avoidance of discomfort. When we engage in activities that make us feel good, whether it's eating chocolate, scrolling through social media, or binge-watching a TV show, dopamine is released, reinforcing the behavior. This creates a cycle of seeking out comfort because the brain associates it with pleasure and reward. Over time, this cycle can become so ingrained that we seek out comfort without even realizing it. The problem arises when this dopamine-driven cycle starts to control us. In the past, seeking comfort might have meant finding food, shelter, or safety. But now, we find comfort in things that don't require much effort. An instant download, fast food, or mindless entertainment. Our brains have been rewired to expect instant gratification. This has made us more susceptible to addiction-like behaviors, where we seek out that rush of dopamine from comfort and convenience, even if it means ignoring more meaningful, long-term pursuits. You may have noticed this in your own life. Perhaps you've sat down to relax, telling yourself you'll just check your phone for a few minutes. But before you know it, hours have passed. Or maybe you've planned to eat a healthy meal, but the allure of fast food takes over because it's easy, quick, and comfortable. In both cases, your brain is responding to the immediate release of dopamine from comfort. But here's where it gets interesting. The more you indulge in these comfort-driven behaviors, the more your brain starts to crave them. Over time, your brain becomes conditioned to seek comfort first, even if it's at the expense of your goals, health, or well-being. The brain doesn't care if that comfort is actually good for you. It just wants more of the immediate pleasure. And this is where many people begin to feel stuck. The more we rely on comfort, the harder it becomes to do things that take effort, things that don't provide an instant reward. We avoid discomfort, and in turn we start avoiding things that could actually lead to personal growth, emotional fulfillment, and physical well-being. But the effects aren't just mental. This constant craving for comfort starts to take a toll on our physical health as well. When we choose comfort over challenge, we choose sedentary behaviors. We opt for the easy route, whether that's ordering food to be delivered instead of cooking a healthy meal, or spending hours on the couch rather than going for a walk. Over time, this physical inactivity can lead to muscle weakness, poor cardiovascular health, and even weight gain. It becomes a vicious cycle. As we seek more comfort, we lose the strength and vitality that comes from being active and challenging ourselves. Moreover, this over-reliance on comfort affects our cognitive function. Our brains thrive on challenge. Mental stimulation, problem-solving, and learning new skills help maintain brain health and cognitive clarity. But when we constantly seek comfort, we stop engaging in activities that stimulate the brain. Instead of pushing ourselves to solve problems, we watch TV, mindlessly scroll through our phones, or indulge in other passive forms of entertainment. These activities may provide temporary relief or distraction, but they don't foster mental growth. They leave us in a constant state of mental rest, making it harder for us to develop the cognitive resilience needed to handle life's challenges. The reality is, our brains are becoming conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. Every time we choose the easy option, we reinforce the habit of comfort seeking. And while that may feel good in the short term, it's slowly eroding our ability to deal with more significant challenges. Just as our bodies need exercise to stay strong and healthy, our brains need discomfort, challenge, and effort to stay sharp. When we constantly avoid discomfort, we prevent ourselves from reaching our full potential, both physically and mentally. Now you might be thinking, okay, so comfort has some drawbacks. But isn't it still necessary? Aren't we supposed to enjoy life and take things easy sometimes? And you're right, comfort isn't inherently bad. In fact, we need moments of comfort to recharge and rejuvenate. The problem comes when comfort becomes the default, the go-to solution for every challenge we face. It's the imbalance between comfort and discomfort that creates problems. Just like you can't lift weights without straining your muscles, you can't strengthen your mind or body without challenging it. If you don't push yourself, you lose the ability to grow, adapt, and ultimately thrive. So what can we do about it? The first step is awareness. Understanding that your brain is wired to seek comfort can help you make more intentional choices. When you feel that urge to avoid discomfort, recognize it for what it is, a natural instinct that has been amplified by modern society. Instead of giving into it, challenge yourself to push through, whether it's taking a walk instead of sitting on the couch, reading a challenging book instead of watching TV, or even tackling a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Every time you choose discomfort, you're training your brain to build resilience. The key is balance. Embrace comfort when you need it, but don't let it become your default. It's the discomfort that pushes you forward, that helps you learn, grow, and reach new heights. And when you start to embrace discomfort as a tool for growth, you'll discover that not only does it make you stronger, but it also opens up a whole new world of possibilities. You're not weak. You've just been trained to crave comfort. But now, you have the power to change that. The allure of comfort is undeniable. It's easy to see why we're drawn to it, whether it's the soft cushion of our favorite chair, the convenience of takeout, or the instant relief from a stressful day that a warm bath or binge-watching a show can provide. Comfort makes us feel safe, secure, and momentarily at ease. But here's the catch. The more we indulge in comfort, the more it starts to take a toll on our physical well-being. What feels like harmless relaxation can eventually lead to long-term consequences that affect our bodies in ways we often don't realize until it's too late. At its core, the human body thrives on movement. Our muscles, joints, and cardiovascular system were designed to work, to be challenged, and to remain active. In ancient times, our survival depended on physical effort: hunting, gathering, walking long distances, and fighting against the elements. These activities weren't just for survival, they were crucial for maintaining physical strength and health. Our bodies were designed to move and grow stronger with effort. But now, in a world where everything seems to be just a click away, we've moved from being active participants in life to passive consumers of convenience. Let's talk about what happens when we stop moving. It might seem like a small thing at first: skipping a workout, spending a few extra hours on the couch, or opting for a rideshare service instead of walking. But when these choices become the norm, the cumulative effects start to show. One of the first areas affected is our muscles. Over time, if you're not using your muscles regularly, they begin to weaken. Muscle mass naturally declines as we age, but the process can be accelerated when we choose comfort over activity. The more we sit, the more our muscles atrophy, and when this happens, simple tasks that once felt easy, like getting out of bed, bending down to pick something up, or climbing a flight of stairs, become increasingly difficult. This muscle loss doesn't just impact mobility, it affects our overall physical strength and energy. When our muscles become weaker, we become less resilient, we tire more easily, and tasks that used to require minimal effort start to feel like major challenges. Without regular movement and exercise, our bodies begin to lose their natural strength and endurance. The more we choose comfort, the less we train our bodies to be adaptable, which leaves us vulnerable to physical decline. And it's not just muscles that suffer. Our bones, joints, and cardiovascular health all depend on regular physical activity to stay strong and healthy. When we fail to move, we increase our risk for a variety of health conditions, including osteoporosis, heart disease, and obesity. In addition to weakening muscles, staying inactive for prolonged periods also negatively impacts our cardiovascular system. The heart, just like muscles, requires regular exercise to remain strong. Without the challenge of physical activity, the heart's efficiency decreases. Blood flow slows, circulation suffers, and the heart becomes less effective at pumping blood throughout the body. Over time, this lack of exercise can lead to increased blood pressure, higher cholesterol levels, and an elevated risk for cardiovascular disease. What might seem like harmless comfort today could become a much more serious health issue tomorrow. But it's not just the internal systems that suffer. The visible effects of inactivity are also something we can't ignore. As we become more sedentary, we begin to see the physical consequences in our bodies. Weight gain is a common result of a comfort-driven lifestyle. Without the need to move much, and often indulging in easily accessible processed foods, our calorie intake exceeds what we burn. This results in weight gain, which in turn increases our risk for a range of health issues like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea. In the short term, it may feel like we're just relaxing or rewarding ourselves, but the longer we stay in this state, the more difficult it becomes to reverse the effects. And let's not forget about the spine. Prolonged sitting or inactivity can have a serious impact on our posture and spinal health. Sitting for hours on end, slouched on a couch or chair, places unnecessary strain on the lower back, neck, and shoulders. Over time, this poor posture can lead to chronic pain, stiffness, and misalignment of the spine. This in turn affects mobility and can make simple movements like bending, reaching, or even standing painful. The discomfort that comes from poor posture can make it even harder to stay active, creating a cycle where comfort continues to lead to more discomfort, but this time, of a physical nature. In some cases, the impact of comfort-seeking behavior on the body goes beyond just temporary discomfort or mild health issues. The loss of physical strength can make individuals more susceptible to serious falls and injuries. A person who has spent years choosing comfort may find that when they finally have to get up and move, whether to catch a bus, cross the street, or reach for something in a high cupboard, they don't have the strength or coordination to do so without risk. This makes them more prone to accidents and falls, which can lead to fractures, hospitalizations, and in some cases long-term disability. The toll on the body is real, and the longer we stay in this state of comfort, the harder it becomes to reverse the damage. It's easy to dismiss these consequences when we're living in the moment. After all, choosing comfort feels good, and who doesn't deserve a break after a long day? But here's the uncomfortable truth. The longer we indulge in comfort, the more we risk long-term damage to our bodies. And the worst part is, it's easy to forget that a simple shift, choosing movement over stillness, challenge over convenience, could change the trajectory of our health. But it's never too late to change. The good news is that the body is resilient, and with just a few small changes, we can begin to reverse the damage caused by too much comfort. A simple walk, some light stretching, or even standing up for a few minutes every hour can work wonders for your physical health. Your muscles, joints, heart, and bones all respond to movement. It doesn't require a major overhaul of your lifestyle, just a willingness to move, to embrace discomfort, and to take back the control that comfort has stolen from you. Comfort may feel great in the moment, but true health lies in embracing challenge. Your body is built to move, and when you do, you'll not only feel stronger physically, but also mentally. So the next time comfort calls, remember, your body is craving more than just rest. It's craving movement, strength, and the vitality that only comes from embracing discomfort. We often hear that comfort is the key to happiness, and in some ways, it's true. After all, who doesn't want to relax after a long day? The problem, however, lies in the over-reliance on comfort, especially when it comes to our mental well-being. While comfort gives us a sense of relief in the short term, it can be incredibly damaging in the long run. It's not just our bodies that suffer from a life spent avoiding discomfort, our minds do too. In fact, the more we indulge in comfort, the more we risk mental decline, reduced cognitive function, and a general sense of mental stagnation. The brain, just like the body, requires regular exercise to stay sharp. But when we constantly seek out comfort, we begin to neglect the very things that keep our minds engaged and active. Instead of facing challenges that stimulate critical thinking and problem-solving, we opt for distractions that require little to no effort. Scrolling through social media, watching endless TV shows, or playing mindless video games. These activities might seem harmless, but over time, they take a toll on our cognitive abilities. When we avoid discomfort and choose to live in the realm of comfort, we stop challenging ourselves. The brain thrives on challenge. Learning something new, tackling a complex problem, or even having a difficult conversation with someone all require mental effort. These tasks might be uncomfortable, but they are the very things that keep our minds sharp and our thinking clear. By constantly avoiding these challenges in favor of easy pleasures, we dull our cognitive abilities. The result? A decline in focus, memory, and overall mental clarity. This avoidance of discomfort can also lead to a kind of mental laziness. The brain, being a highly adaptable organ, gets used to patterns of thinking. If you don't push yourself to learn, grow, or think critically, your brain will settle into a comfortable routine. But this routine doesn't allow for growth. It makes it easier to become stagnant in your thinking, to rely on simple, shallow sources of entertainment, and to avoid deeper, more meaningful engagement with the world around you. When was the last time you really challenged yourself mentally? When did you last pick up a book that made you think deeply, or take on a task that pushed your mental limits? If your answer is not recently, it's no surprise that you may feel your mind starting to dull over time. And let's not forget the emotional toll of comfort seeking. Our emotional resilience is built through discomfort. Handling tough situations, processing difficult emotions, and learning from failure all require a level of discomfort. When we choose comfort over confronting our emotions, we're not just avoiding temporary discomfort. We're avoiding personal growth. We end up suppressing our feelings, distracting ourselves with easy pleasures, and avoiding the hard work of emotional self-care. This avoidance can lead to mental health issues, like anxiety, depression, and feelings of emptiness. It's like training the brain to shut down when it faces challenges, which can lead to a much harder time coping with life's inevitable struggles. What's even more alarming is the cumulative effect of this mental decline. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts with small, seemingly insignificant choices. Skipping a workout, choosing junk food over a healthy meal, binge-watching shows instead of engaging in a thought-provoking conversation. But over time, these choices add up, and the mental and emotional toll becomes more apparent. What was once just a momentary lapse in mental engagement turns into a long-term habit of avoidance. And as this habit deepens, the decline in mental resilience becomes harder to reverse. So what can we do about it? The first step is to recognize the problem. Just as we're aware of the physical effects of overindulgence in comfort, we need to recognize the mental and emotional consequences of constantly seeking the path of least resistance. The key to reversing this mental decline is to embrace discomfort, not avoid it. Start small. Pick up a challenging book, solve a puzzle, learn a new skill, or have a conversation that requires you to step out of your comfort zone. These activities might feel uncomfortable at first, but they are exactly what your brain needs to stay sharp. It's also important to embrace emotional discomfort, facing your emotions head-on, instead of pushing them away or numbing them with distractions, will strengthen your emotional resilience. Taking time to process tough feelings and learn from them builds mental fortitude. The more you practice embracing discomfort, the stronger your mind becomes, and the easier it is to navigate life's inevitable challenges. By taking the time to train your mind to embrace discomfort, you begin to break the cycle of stagnation and decline. Instead of letting comfort dictate your choices, you regain control over your mental state. You'll find that the challenges you once avoided are not only manageable but actually rewarding. The discomfort that once felt overwhelming will start to feel like an opportunity for growth and learning. And in the end, embracing discomfort is what will keep your mind sharp, your emotional resilience intact, and your life full of depth and purpose. The choice is yours. Will you continue to seek comfort, or will you step into discomfort to reclaim your mental clarity and strength? It's a narrative that's ingrained in our society. If you can't push through discomfort, you're weak. If you give up when things get tough, you lack the willpower and resilience that others seem to have in abundance. This narrative is everywhere. On social media, in the workplace, in the stories we hear about successful people. We're constantly told that those who push through pain, struggle, and challenge are the true winners, the ones who find success, happiness, and fulfillment. And anyone who falters, anyone who chooses comfort over challenge, is seen as lazy, weak, or unmotivated. But here's the harsh truth. This narrative is not only false, it's also damaging. It's easy to see why this narrative is so prevalent. After all, hard work and determination are often celebrated, especially in cultures that prize productivity and achievement. We admire the stories of people who went through great adversity, pushed through their struggles, and emerged victorious. We're conditioned to believe that this is the only path to success, that discomfort is a necessary component of personal growth. But this way of thinking overlooks something crucial. It fails to consider the fact that not everyone is capable of enduring constant discomfort. And that doesn't mean they are weak, it simply means they are human. We all have limits. The human body, mind, and spirit are not designed to live in a constant state of struggle. We're not supposed to live our lives in a state of continuous discomfort, always striving to push past our limits. In fact, doing so can have serious consequences, not just for our physical health, but for our mental and emotional well-being as well. When we constantly push ourselves to the edge, expecting more and more from our bodies and minds, without giving ourselves time to recover, we set ourselves up for burnout. We become exhausted, mentally drained, and emotionally depleted. The constant pressure to perform, to overcome every challenge, to never take a break, leads to a cycle of self-doubt and anxiety. We begin to question ourselves, why can't I push through like everyone else? Why do I feel weak when others seem so strong? This is the false narrative at play. It's easy to get caught up in it, to feel like you're not doing enough or that you're not strong enough when you compare yourself to others. But what's often left out of these success stories is the fact that the people who achieve great things are not necessarily constantly in a state of discomfort. Many of them know the importance of rest, recovery, and balance. They understand that true strength doesn't come from pushing past every challenge without hesitation. Strength comes from knowing when to push and when to rest. It comes from understanding your limits and respecting your body and mind enough to take a step back when you need it. The idea that avoiding discomfort is a sign of weakness is not only unrealistic, but also dangerous. It sets us up to feel guilty for taking time to care for ourselves, for choosing comfort and relaxation over endless hustle. It's okay to rest, it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to choose comfort, especially when we're giving ourselves the time we need to recharge. In reality, the people who truly understand strength are the ones who can recognize when they need to step back. They are the ones who know how to embrace comfort when it's needed, to nourish themselves physically and mentally, so they can come back stronger. Choosing comfort doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're smart enough to recognize that rest is just as important as work. Recovery is just as essential as progress. But here's the kicker: the more we buy into this false narrative, the harder it becomes to break free from it. We start to believe that our worth is tied to how much we endure, how much we struggle, and how little we allow ourselves to relax. We start measuring our success by how many sacrifices we've made, how many sleepless nights we've had, how many times we've pushed through when others would have stopped. But the reality is, this mindset leads to burnout, self-neglect, and dissatisfaction. It's not sustainable, and it doesn't lead to lasting fulfillment. It's time to challenge this narrative. True strength lies in balance. It lies in knowing when to push and when to rest. It lies in recognizing that choosing comfort is not a sign of weakness, but a recognition that taking care of yourself is vital to living a long, healthy, and happy life. So, the next time you hear someone call out others for being weak or lazy for choosing comfort, remember this: strength isn't about always fighting through discomfort. It's about knowing when to fight and when to rest. And above all, it's about understanding that your well-being, both physical and mental, is more important than the constant pursuit of hustle and struggle. The false narrative of weakness has no place in your life anymore. Embrace the balance. Embrace the power of choosing comfort when it serves you, and watch how your strength grows in ways you never thought possible. It's easy to fall into the trap of comfort. We live in a world where everything is designed to make life easier, quicker, and more convenient. But here's the reality: the more you indulge in comfort, the more you limit your potential. The good news is, you don't have to stay stuck in that cycle. You can train your mind and body to embrace discomfort, and in doing so, you'll unlock a level of strength and resilience you never thought possible. The first step to reconditioning yourself is awareness. Recognize when comfort is controlling your decisions. Maybe it's the extra hour spent in bed, or opting for takeout instead of cooking a healthy meal. Every time you choose comfort, you're reinforcing the habit, but awareness is the key. Once you notice it, you can begin to take action. Start small. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. The key to embracing discomfort is to introduce small challenges into your daily routine. Start with something simple. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. Instead of scrolling through social media when you're bored, pick up a book or work on a hobby that challenges you. These small steps add up over time, and soon, you'll find yourself more comfortable with discomfort. Next, push yourself to embrace discomfort in areas that matter most to your growth. If physical fitness is important to you, challenge yourself to exercise even when you don't feel like it. Push through that initial resistance. The more you push through that discomfort, the easier it becomes. This applies to mental challenges too. Tackle projects or tasks that seem overwhelming at first. Don't let the fear of discomfort keep you from reaching your goals. It's also crucial to change the way you perceive discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, start viewing it as a tool for growth. When you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you're strengthening your mental and physical resilience. Discomfort is the sign that you're growing. It's your body and mind telling you that you're evolving into a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Reconditioning yourself to embrace discomfort doesn't happen overnight, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The goal isn't to live in constant discomfort, but to find a healthy balance between challenge and rest. Once you start embracing discomfort, you'll realize that it's not something to fear. It's the path to becoming the best version of yourself. Embracing discomfort isn't just a way to push through tough situations, it's a catalyst for real personal growth. It's not easy to accept, but the truth is, growth doesn't happen when we're sitting comfortably in our routines, surrounded by ease and predictability. It happens when we step outside of our comfort zones, when we stretch ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Discomfort in all its forms is the tool that helps us evolve into stronger, more capable versions of ourselves. Think about some of the most successful people in history. They didn't get where they are by avoiding difficulty. Whether it was a renowned entrepreneur who worked endless hours to build a business from the ground up, or an athlete who pushed through pain and exhaustion to achieve their personal best, they all share one thing in common: they embraced discomfort. They didn't fear it. They understood that discomfort was part of the process of growth. The same applies to your life. If you want to improve your health, your career, your relationships, or any other aspect of your life, you need to be willing to experience discomfort. That's how progress happens. When you challenge yourself, whether it's taking on a difficult project at work, pushing yourself in the gym, or learning a new skill, you're pushing past your limits. And when you push past your limits, you discover new strengths, new capabilities that you never knew you had. It's easy to see this in terms of physical challenges. For example, when you start working out, that first few days or weeks can be incredibly uncomfortable. Your muscles are sore, your energy is low, and every step feels like an effort. But as you continue to push through, something incredible happens. Your body begins to adapt, your muscles get stronger, your stamina improves, and soon, the very discomfort you dreaded becomes a source of pride. You start looking forward to that challenge, because you've seen firsthand how discomfort leads to growth. The same concept applies to mental and emotional growth. How many times have you avoided a tough conversation because it made you uncomfortable? Or put off a difficult decision because you didn't want to deal with the anxiety or stress it would bring? The longer you avoid those challenges, the longer you stay stagnant. But once you face those uncomfortable situations, whether it's confronting a fear, addressing a conflict, or stepping into an unfamiliar situation, you open yourself up to growth. You learn how to navigate discomfort with more confidence, more resilience, and more understanding of your own abilities. One of the most powerful things about embracing discomfort is that it helps you build resilience. The more you face discomfort, the stronger you become. And that resilience doesn't just apply to one area of your life. It spreads. The ability to face discomfort, in your career, for example, will make you more resilient in your personal life. The mental toughness you build from pushing through tough workouts will carry over into your relationships, your finances, and every other area where you face challenges. The beauty of growth through discomfort is that it compounds over time. The more you embrace challenges, the more you stretch yourself, the easier it becomes to continue pushing forward. Each small step builds on the last, creating momentum that propels you to new heights. And when you start to look at discomfort as an opportunity for growth rather than something to avoid, your entire perspective on life changes. Instead of shrinking away from difficulty, you start running toward it, knowing that every step you take through discomfort is a step toward becoming stronger, smarter, and more capable. The key is consistency. It's easy to push through discomfort once or twice, but real transformation happens when you make discomfort a regular part of your life. It's the daily choices to push through the hard things that create lasting change. Over time, you'll find that the discomfort you once dreaded becomes something you embrace, because you've seen the fruits it bears. So the next time you face discomfort, whether physical, emotional, or mental, remember this: it's not something to avoid, it's a powerful tool for growth. It's the signal that you're stretching beyond your limits, expanding your capabilities, and becoming a stronger version of yourself. Embrace it, lean into it. Because it's in the moments of discomfort that true growth happens. And in the end, that growth is what will give you the strength to face whatever life throws your way. By now, it's clear that the cycle of comfort seeking isn't just a simple matter of personal preference. It's a deep-rooted habit shaped by years of conditioning, societal influences, and modern conveniences. But here's the empowering truth. This cycle can be broken. You have the power to reclaim control over your life, your choices, and most importantly, your strength. It's all about learning to strike a balance between comfort and discomfort, to understand that while comfort is necessary for rest and rejuvenation, discomfort is what fuels growth and resilience. The good news is, the choice is entirely in your hands. Reclaiming your power starts with taking full responsibility for your actions. Recognize that your life, your habits, and your choices are within your control. No longer is it about waiting for external circumstances to change. or relying on the conveniences of the modern world to dictate how you live. When you embrace discomfort, you are not just pushing past physical or mental limits, you are reasserting ownership of your life. You're telling yourself that you are capable of more than your current comfort zone. The first step in this reclamation process is to shift your mindset. Stop seeing discomfort as something to avoid at all costs. Instead, view it as a signal that you are growing, learning, and evolving. It's a reminder that you are pushing yourself to be better, stronger, and more capable. This simple shift in perspective is crucial because it changes how you approach challenges. Rather than shrinking away from discomfort, you'll lean into it, knowing that the temporary discomfort you experience now will lead to greater strength, resilience, and fulfillment in the long run. The next step is to start small. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. Begin by introducing manageable challenges into your routine. These don't have to be monumental shifts, just simple, consistent changes that push you out of your comfort zone. It could be as simple as taking the stairs instead of the elevator, eating a healthier meal instead of something quick and processed, or setting aside time to learn something new every day. These small steps accumulate over time, and before you know it, you'll find yourself not just embracing discomfort, but actively seeking it out as a way to grow. As you begin this journey of reconditioning yourself, remember that failure is not only inevitable but also necessary. You will stumble, you will fall, and you will face setbacks. But that's exactly how you know you're on the right path. Every time you fail, you learn. Every time you struggle, you gain resilience. It's not about achieving perfection, it's about progress. Embrace those failures as stepping stones, not roadblocks. They are proof that you are stepping out of your comfort zone and stretching yourself in ways that will ultimately benefit you. Another powerful tool in reclaiming your power is consistency. The more consistently you embrace discomfort, the easier it becomes. At first it might feel challenging or even overwhelming, but with each small victory, you build momentum. The discomfort that once felt unbearable becomes something you can handle with ease. You'll begin to notice how much stronger, more confident, and more capable you feel. The longer you continue pushing yourself to embrace discomfort, the more you'll realize just how much power you've been holding within yourself all along. It's also important to recognize that this journey of reclaiming your power isn't just about physical or mental toughness. It's about embracing the full spectrum of life. Discomfort doesn't just come from difficult workouts or intense intellectual challenges. Sometimes it's about having those hard conversations, confronting your fears, or stepping into the unknown. It's about doing the things that scare you, that make you uncomfortable, but ultimately push you toward the life you want. When you start to reclaim your power, you'll notice a profound shift in how you live. You'll stop letting the pursuit of comfort dictate your decisions. Instead, you'll start choosing growth. You'll become someone who seeks out challenges because you know that's where the real strength lies. And as you continue to embrace discomfort, you'll see your world expand. You'll realize that your potential isn't limited by the comfort you once craved. It's only limited by the boundaries you place on yourself. The power to change your life, to grow stronger, more resilient, and more fulfilled, lies within you. Reclaim it, embrace discomfort, and in doing so, discover just how much you are truly capable of. As we come to the end of this journey, it's important to reflect on everything we've discussed. The temptation to seek comfort is universal. It's easy to understand why we're drawn to it. Comfort feels good. It offers relief, a break from the stresses of life, and a moment of ease in an often chaotic world. But the problem arises when we become too comfortable, when comfort begins to dominate our lives and stifle growth, strength, and resilience. We've all been conditioned to crave it, and in many ways, society has reinforced this behavior. But the truth is, comfort isn't always the answer. In fact, when we rely too heavily on it, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to grow, evolve, and discover our true potential. The real power lies in embracing discomfort. You are not weak for seeking comfort, but it's important to recognize when it's limiting you. Comfort doesn't push you to become the best version of yourself. It doesn't challenge your limits, expand your thinking, or build the resilience you need to face the ups and downs of life. The truth is, discomfort is a tool, a powerful tool for growth, strength, and resilience. When you step outside of your comfort zone, you begin to discover things about yourself that you never knew were there. Every challenge you face, every uncomfortable situation you push through, is a step toward becoming a stronger, more capable version of yourself. It's through discomfort that you build the mental and physical strength needed to navigate life's inevitable challenges. But let's be clear, embracing discomfort doesn't mean you should abandon comfort altogether. The goal is not to reject comfort, but to find balance. Comfort is necessary for rest, recovery, and maintaining well-being. It's important to recharge and give yourself the space to relax. However, when comfort becomes the default mode of living, when it becomes the easy escape from every challenge, that's when it starts to hinder your growth. True strength comes from understanding when it's time to rest and when it's time to push yourself. It comes from recognizing that discomfort is not something to fear, but something to embrace as a stepping stone toward personal development. So where do we go from here? How do we start reclaiming our power and reconditioning ourselves to embrace discomfort? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're choosing comfort over challenge. Notice those moments when you're avoiding discomfort because it feels easier in the short term. But remember, it's not about being hard on yourself for seeking comfort. It's about recognizing the long-term consequences of avoiding discomfort and making a conscious decision to step outside your comfort zone. The key is to start small. Don't expect to transform overnight. Change takes time, and it begins with small, intentional steps. Start by challenging yourself in simple, manageable ways. If physical activity feels like a struggle, start with a short walk or a few minutes of stretching. If a difficult task is looming, tackle it head-on for just a few minutes a day, breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. Each time you step out of your comfort zone, celebrate those small victories. Those moments of discomfort, when faced with courage and determination, are the building blocks of a stronger, more resilient you. As you continue this journey, you'll begin to notice something incredible. Discomfort no longer feels like a threat, but an opportunity. The more you challenge yourself, the easier it becomes to step into discomfort with confidence. You'll start to recognize discomfort as a sign that you're growing, that you're pushing yourself beyond the limits you once thought were impossible. This shift in perspective is key. Discomfort becomes a tool, not a burden. It's a powerful reminder that you are capable of more than you think, and that growth and strength come from stepping into the unknown. And let's not forget the importance of resilience. Every time you face discomfort, you build resilience. Resilience isn't about being unaffected by difficulty. It's about having the strength to bounce back, to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles. It's about learning to navigate life's ups and downs with confidence and grace. Resilience doesn't come from staying in your comfort zone. It comes from stretching beyond it and learning to handle whatever comes your way. In the end, embracing discomfort is about reclaiming your power. It's about taking control of your life and your choices, knowing that you have the strength to face whatever challenges come your way. It's about building a life that's not defined by ease and convenience, but by courage, growth, and the ability to adapt to whatever life throws at you. You have the power to step into discomfort, and in doing so, discover just how strong, capable, and resilient you truly are. So I challenge you, the next time you're faced with discomfort, don't shy away from it. Don't retreat into your comfort zone. Instead, embrace it. Step into it with confidence, knowing that each moment of discomfort is shaping you into a stronger, more resilient person. Because true growth lies not in avoiding discomfort, but in learning to embrace it. And when you do, you'll discover a version of yourself that is capable of far more than you ever imagined. It's time to reclaim your power, embrace discomfort, and unlock your full potential.